increase in the use and the involvement of AI in research. And especially from November 2022 onwards, you can see that there's almost an exponential growth in the involvement and the use of AI for supporting research. And in our industry, that is education, the picture cannot be even more dominant. As you can see, almost 30% increase since the release of generative AI in November 2022. So, everyone is talking about AI, and it's everywhere. Everyone is using it or trying to use it. However, I see an imbalance. Let me explain about the rationale for designing this workshop. I see a massive imbalance because I'm not sure about in Morocco, but here in Asia and in particular in Hong Kong, we have lots and lots of events on helping colleagues raising awareness and knowing how to use AI, but for teaching and learning purposes. And very, very few are actually on research. So I can see that there's a massive imbalance, in the content and efforts into exploring how AI tools can support research, and that prompted me to start designing this workshop about 2 years ago. So it has been, constantly updated and evolved into today's state. So, in a nutshell, so how can AI tools enhance research? All right. So I have summarized it into 5 areas. Firstly, as you will gather in the next 60 to 75 minutes, AI tools can help to develop and sharpen, to more specific, converge to a specific research question that we believe it is worthwhile and significant enough and feasible to be tackled. And secondly, AI tools can also help to spark creative ideas while we're exploring the use of various tools to support different stages of the research. So the emphasis here is not only on the output of the research tool or as a result of using a research tool, but also, in fact, in some cases, more importantly, gain from the process of using the tools. Because as in the process of using the tools, you go through many iterative loops, and through these loops, you are constantly being, invited to consider additional ideas, right? Additional ideas, concepts, and approaches, methodologies, which you otherwise may not be able to be aware of. So I think that's also a big gain. Thirdly, combining the first and two points, if you're using these tools in an appropriate and effective way, you should be laughing because it is accelerating enormously your research and at a speed that we have never seen before, especially the speed of understanding about the landscape of the research, the speed of formulating the hypothesis, and also the speed of analyzing the data as well. So I've explained that number 4 as well. But number 5, it's a salient point that many people may not realize. And I think that is an equally important point, especially for young researchers. And that is in boosting your confidence, right? Your confidence in research. Imagine, that before the AI days, you would have to use conventional method, whatever that is, the library, online databases, internet search, Google Scholar, whatever, right? To go through the same research process as you're doing now, okay? And now with the use of AI tools, you can repeat that process for a fraction of the time, and I stress the word repeat. So in other words, it's not substitute. You will carry out using AI tools again after you've done your manual analysis, and you'll be, able to compare what you have originally found. Indeed, it's a overlap. It's a significant overlap, or it's only a fractional overlap with what the AI tools have found. Both are not perfect. Both needs improvement, but I believe the sum of the two is more than the individuals, right? So as a young researcher, you will be especially delighted, and get a boost in confidence when you realize that, hey, this is what I've found, and now that with the AI tools, hey, about 70 to 80% what I've found is again repeatedly shown. That's great news because you are on the right track, as a large proportion of the result from the AI overlap with what you have generated as well. And you can look at the other 20%, Maybe it's not right. Maybe maybe it's wrong, or maybe it is also relevant, or maybe it's something that you should also consider, right? Because your original approach didn't allow you to be exposed to think in that way. So I think that is a very important benefit for researchers as well. Now, before I go any further, I'm going to do something unconventional, which is I'm going to zoom right to the end of this workshop or presentation and remind you about several things before we go any further. All right. So these are the things that I want you to take home, very importantly, right? And firstly, these tools are by no means, they are far from mature. They are far from mature. Make no mistake, right? So they are constantly evolving. They are getting better by the day. They are getting more advanced and more robust and more comprehensive, but they are not invincible. Put it this way, and they still carry mistakes. You have to check. And at this stage, at this point in time, I don't see in the short to medium term future they will be replacing or becoming the only way for us to do research. So the conventional method still apply, very much so. Pick the right tools for the job, very important as well. You're going to be amazed by the amount of tools that are out there. I read something like between 600 to 2,000 new AI tools are being released into the market every week. There's no way we can keep up with it, right? So you have to do a bit of a mini research to find out what are the tools that will be most appropriate for you to use for your current process of the research. Okay, and then start to use those that are more aligned with supporting what you need. And I will elaborate more about exactly what does it mean by more aligned or more supportive to what you need. So, in fact, a bad example would be you pick a tool which is weak into accessing the database of your research domain, and that of course, that immediately spell the end of that tool or end of the applicability of that tool for your research, because it is weak in accessing articles in your area of expertise. So this is just one criteria that you will have to be careful in picking when you are doing some pre-analysis before you settle on using which tool to support your research. You need to know about the strengths and weaknesses of the tools. It's the English saying that there's no free lunch is very true. In AI, there's still no free lunch. Why it is producing such a wow effect, why is working so fast, why is giving us all these impressive results. They are also making compromises like inexact reasoning. Some AI algorithms may assume whatever we have not specified to be of certain value, and that may or may not be agreed by you. All right, so but you don't know because that's all in the black box. So you need to check the results, and very importantly, you need to understand the inherent characteristics, again, the inherent characteristics of the algorithms. Every family of algorithm, they have their power, they have the strength, they have their weaknesses, and they have some pre-assumptions, and you need to know about them. You need to know about what sort of data they are being trained on, because the data or bias on data affect the quality and the skill of the result as well. Again, because at the moment it's far from mature, these tools will, I should say, come and go. They may not be here tomorrow, right? Yes, it can be as worse as that, right? So they may bite the bullet and go bankrupt the next day. So whatever we do, we need to be sure that we're staying on the mainstream, if there is such a thing called mainstream. And secondly, we need to be able to reverse engineer from what we have done and be able to repeat that experiment, or we demonstrate those results using a different tool. And thirdly, we need to future-proof our effort so that we spend the absolute minimum and ensure that what we invest in can be ported to other platforms and continue. Last but not least is we have to prepare ourselves a new mindset that we are prepared to drop this tool and move to another tool for whatever reasons. Not just because it has gone defunct, but for many other reasons as well. Maybe there's another one which is much, much better now, but the interface is different, right? So with future-proofing efforts, hopefully we'll find a platform that can import and export whatever we've done into this new one. But more importantly, we have to clear off the resistance or obstacles in our mind. We have to be going with a positive growth mindset that things are going to go positive, and we should try to improve and constantly improve whenever we can. Okay, so that said, we can push forward with the rest of the seminar. Now, again, as a reminder, I'm trying to to eat my own lunch as well. We're here talking about generative AI, and for those of you who have a little bit more understanding about the AI thing, you would have come across these terms many times already. Critical thinking, that's that's the fear of everyone, especially educationalists. Here, as a professor in the university, we are very, very mindful. We are very, very worried at students from now on, by using AI, let go the critical thinking. And if that's the case, hopefully it will not happen. But if that's the case, AI would have done more damages than positive things to the community, to the society, to the next generation. So, up to now, we have to be very critical. Up to now and from now on as well, we always have to be very critical about maintaining our critical thinking. So, don't believe everything that I say. I'm going to show you many tools, but you have to be constantly judging, thinking, and taking an action plan to evaluate, to validate whatever I say actually is true or not. It's your decision. It's not my decision. Okay, so right now at this point, we are talking about a seminar about the use of AI tools for research. So I think in your mind, you should be maintaining at least these two paramount questions, right? Because that's what I had when I start, delving into this area and starting to prepare this workshop. Okay, and my first primary concern is, I've been in academia for over 30 years, and the library, online databases, internet resources, Google Scholar and others are already providing a rich set of tools, databases, and access to research materials. And we generate many PhDs regularly, so obviously the system is working. So why do we need AI? Why do we have to change because of the AI tools? The conventional method worked, and it's a proven way of doing research for decades at least. So that's my first question to myself, and I think you should be having that question as well, right? So why would we need to use tools in addition to the already powerful library and internet tools? The second question I have is, the flagship of generative AI software, ChatGPT, and other similar ones. Now we also hear about they have hallucinations. Hallucinations. They may generate fictitious information. Wow. Am I kidding? I am using this kind of software to support research. Research is, it's 100% vigorous, rational, scientific approach, right? And there's no room for error, and there's no margin to tolerate any inexactness, let alone fictitious information. So I've got to be kidding. All right. So you must be, I suppose, brainstorming about the answer to these two questions. So allow me to enlighten you a little bit more. So comparing the library tools with AI tools, okay, and this is a table that I've done the best I can to outline in the second and third column, what is available on the library and internet tools, and what is available on the internet tools, or what is available on the AI tools, okay, on different aspects. And if you run our eyes over it, you don't have to read everything. You can see that, the conventional tools are represented by the library, online databases, and internet tools. They are authoritative. They are free to the university staff and students, and they have been used traditionally for a long time with success, right? And they cite references, citations correctly. right? And they have a full record of all the entries in all the databases and so forth. And then if you look at on the right hand side regarding the AI tools, they have different levels of penetration in accessing the online resources, and they're highly accurate, but depending on their access, they may have missed out some other databases as well. Okay, and they are not free. In most cases, they are not free to university staff or students. You have to pay extra for it. So, when you look at that, except for that cell with the question mark, the library and the public domain tools appear to be still ahead and dominating. So the question remains, why do we have to consider using AI tools to support research? And I think the magic to that answer is in that cell where I have the question mark there. And that is, one of the differences in the use of the tools provided by the library and the AI tools is that the library tools always can do the search, extraction, generation of citation, and maintenance of the references for you. They do it very well, perfectly, absolutely correctly. But they never, the IB tools and the internet tools, they never go into trying to understand, trying to read, trying to reason the content of a paper. Okay, and this is where the AI tools make a big difference. And I like to stress that I choose my words very carefully here in the next sentence. The AI tools operate right on the content by linking, reasoning, and displaying the content in visually expressive ways. Again, read it again, because I said I choose my words very carefully. So the AI tools specifically excel in linking, connecting, reasoning, doing deductions, abductions, generalizations, and also displaying, showing in a visually expressive format, right, to the user about how they have retrieved, connected, and assessed the content of the articles located. Okay, and in the rest of this seminar, you will have no uncertain terms about how these operations are vividly shown to you via demonstrations. Okay, so again, let me be repetitive here, but still, that still doesn't qualify the use of AI tools to replace the conventional method. The conventional method remains, and that should be the baseline of your research effort. And then you can use AI tools to accelerate part of it, and also to validate whether some of the things that you have already retrieved is indeed correct or not. And you should also, take a positive mindset to consider whatever the AI tools have generated, but it's not on your radar, to see whether indeed they should be included on your radar as well. That would be, my advice to attitude for you to operate with these kind of tools. All right, I mentioned earlier that there's a lot of these tools being released. That is true. Don't do it now, but you get a chance, type something like AI research tools or whatever, then and send it to the search engine. You will find something like this. Wow, horrible. It's threatening. Why? Because it's a plethora of AI tools available. What did I mention earlier? Something like 600 to about 2,000 tools available, every week. Of course, many of those or most of those don't survive, on the market for a long time, but that's still an awful number. There's no way that we can keep up to date with these tools. There's no way that we'll be riding on top of them. Here's an article on the use of generative AI tools for supporting research. And for those of you who are interested, last month I also have an article, also in the Times Higher Education. You can search my name and you can read my articles as well, which is a summary of today's seminar. Anyway, going back to this earlier article, it was in fact quite detailed, because it listed some 25 applications of how AI tools have helped researchers at different stages of their research tasks and be able to accomplish things in a speedier and in some cases in a higher quality way. So again, run your eyes over it. You can see that trends analysis, grant writing, writing the letter to the editor, generating ideas, generating presentations, providing real-time critique, creative interactive databases on the right-hand side, identify bias and ethical guidelines, consent forms, and more, right? So, it's been quite helpful. But I think that, I'm not comfortable with this kind of delineation for the use of AI tools. I think we can benefit more by understanding a framework that's aligned to the research process, a framework that can align the appropriate tools for various types of tasks that belongs to certain stages of research. That's what I believe. Okay, so he's halfway there, and you can see that I've generalized the AI task into a number of categories, and for each of these categories, we can further identify the tools that are available, and there will be some overlapping about the tools capabilities, but overall speaking, this is the spectrum of tasks that are commonly expedited and handled by AI tools, and allow me to start providing a framework from the next slide onwards. So I mentioned about this framework, and this framework is actually run across the timeline of conducting a piece of research. So for those of you who are a researcher, then you obviously know that research doesn't come overnight. It's a fairly long process, but it always starts with an idea. An idea that someone may have asked you, someone may have told you, someone could have triggered you to think, or completely born from your own thinking, right? Anyway, you start from an idea, and from that idea, you start figuring out, is that worthwhile to do? Is that something that people have done before? And where I'm going to find data on it, and what would be an interesting question to study, right? And how can I contribute to the field? If I can actually discover something with this approach, right? And where should I disseminate my result? In other words, tell the world what you have done, tell the world what your brilliant research is. How do you disseminate the result? So all this is part and parcel of the research process. So at the first step, most researchers would have to start picking up some papers and start reading more and more and more. In fact, read a lot, okay? But you start with a handful number of papers. That for a student, that handful number of papers may be something that you start searching, and then you show it to your supervisor, and the supervisor agrees, or the supervisor give it to you, saying that that's a good start. These are all representative work. So start from there, understand that technique, and we'll talk next time. Okay, something like that. That's how I started. All right. So in any case, you will be your focus would be reading. Your focus will be understanding about those papers. Your focus will be building up your knowledge about the landscape of the area or areas that are covered in your research. Okay, and you need to know about what are the major techniques, what are the major approaches, who is working on it, and what's the evolution in the last few years and so forth. So, and hopefully, if you are starting to get an upper hand of it, you're starting to discover there are areas that are underexplored. So that may be an opportunity. Or anyway, that's how it all gets started. Okay. The second stage, which I believe is closely associated with the first stage as well. So to be honest, the second can be the first one can be the second. But anyway, the second stage is searching for papers, right? So you may be starting with a keyword or a number of keywords. You may be starting with a paper in your hand and trying to look for similar papers as well. And you may be starting with a directory and a directory of papers, and start to navigate down to the folders, subfolders, and subfolders, and so forth, and look at and try to hunt down the papers that you really want to download and read. Okay, but whatever the case, you are in the mode of searching, retrieving, and trying to identify the right thing that you should be focusing on. So assuming that you have got 1 and 2, to accomplished. In fact, it's an ongoing process, so accomplished is not really the right word. So let's say you have done a fair amount of 1 and 2. You are starting to do your brainstorming, maybe alone, maybe with your supervisor, maybe with your peers, maybe with other research students, brainstorming about what? About the research topic, the hypothesis, the research questions, the design of the research model, right? The methodology and more about how to actually carry out your research. So basically, it's what do you want to research? Is it worthwhile to do, right? And how are you going to tackle it? How are you going to what is the exact issue that you are studying, right? And how are you going to tackle this issue? And using what method? Okay, and where you're going to get your data and so forth, right? So this is a very important step in research. Get it right, and you're on a straight road to success. Get it wrong, you may be stuck there. You may have to come back, and after you have proceeded in the wrong direction, come back and repeat. And that is not a good situation to revisit, really. Okay, so but anyway, so number 3 is a very core step, and most students spend a fair amount of time, with assistance from the supervisors and peers before they lock on to the right direction and then proceed. The 4th stage is, you're already firm, locked in with your approach. You know precisely what you are going to study. You know your research questions, and you are hammering away towards that goal. Okay, so you're collecting data. You continue to collect data. You have collected enough data. You start your analysis. You need to do your analysis. You need to derive your findings, observations, right? Supporting hypothesis, refute hypothesis, observations and more, right? So you need to relate to the theory, okay? And you need identified contributions, theoretical contributions and practical contribution. That's all in stage 4. In stage 5, light at the end of the tunnel. You're ready to summarize it, to codify it into presentation, video, journal papers, conference papers, and more. Right? Be able to tell the world. Then of course at that stage, you would be if you are submitting for publication or for presentation, there may be guidelines, there may be formats, there could be requirements that you have to comply, and typically in terms of styling and writing style and formatting. Okay, so you would have to comply with those, otherwise you will not get published. Okay, so again, AI tools can help you in that particular area as well. Okay, so this is the 5th step. So to me, this 5 steps fairly comprehensively display the entire research process, and if we can align the AI tool to support each one of those, then I think we'll have a good picture about how AI tools can actually help us to accomplish research. Okay, I must say that at the moment, very few tools can handle all the 5 steps. In other words, at the moment, most of the tools can only handle maybe 1 or 2 of the steps, and so that means invariably, irrespective of which tool you use, you probably have to use multiple tools in order to support you at all the 5 stages. Things are changing though. Later on I'll talk about that. Okay. All right. So what are those 5 stages again? From a conceptual point of view, aligning the use of AI tools to support research. First one is document summarization. Second one is exploration, search categories, categorize, recommend, and visualize. The research articles that is so retrieved. Third one is exploration of research topics and design, and the 4th one is data analysis, interpretation, and visualization of the results. Right, and number 5, the last one, is writing up, publishing, and also presenting the results. So let's look at the first category. That is on document summarization. All right, as the name suggests, it's about summarizing the documents. So if you summarize well, what can you help us? Will it help us alleviate our efforts to read everything, right? And it also give us a high-level summary about what it covers, and that also presumably know that what it doesn't cover. So at an early stage of understanding, it is very contributory. Why? Because imagine you have 500 articles that all cover the keywords that you are interested in, but you want to lock into maybe 50 or 100 out of that 500, the ones that you really should be focusing on. So you can generate a summary, quickly read the summary, or scan the summary, or search the summary, right? And then you can start your filtering there to narrow the 500 to 50 to 100, rather than read everything, from page one to page the last page for every article, which you quickly run out of time. Okay, so summarization is good, assuming that you can summarize accurately, comprehensively, and completely. Okay, but again, remember, with the use of AI tools, especially generative AI tools, many of these tools have hallucinations. In other words, some of the things that they say may not be true. Second, the tools are also biased because of the data it's being trained on. So in other words, it may generate a heavier weighting, a heavier focus on certain areas, which it should not be, but unfortunately, that's what has happened. So in other words, it may drill more on certain topics, but tend to ignore or lightly touch on some other topics, right? Because it wrongly thinks that it is not important, right? So you have to live with that risk. So I'll show you how I actually try to minimize that risk later on. Okay, so the other thing good with these tools is they can all generate, a fresh card or a bookmark to store all the ones that you have summarized, and you can quickly retrieve them, combine them, index them, and export it to a bibliographic referencing system. So that part and parcel of these tools, as well as generating an alert, and knowing that now the tool knows that what are the papers that you're interested in. You can leave that with the tool, and the tool will inform you whenever there's a new paper or an updated paper in your area of interest. So that's also very helpful. So the box that's pop up on the bottom right with white and yellow fonts, these are the tools that are well established in this particular category. And for those that are in yellow color, these are ones that I've actually tried or subscribed with as well. So if the time permits in this workshop, I will give you a demonstration of some of these tools as well. Then we go into the second category. Second category is search, categorize, recommend, and visualize. Well, I can't deliver a better interpretation, other than those four words, right? It's exactly what it does. So help you to search for more papers, similar papers, and then show it to you in a visually expressive way by linking them together, by color coding them, by showing the high density, low density, so that you get a sense about the chronological order, the importance, the clusterings of the various papers, and also the consequence of publishing a paper, which may spawn additional papers being published. So all this through the visually expressive color-coded method, they can convey to you these kind of relationships, temporal relationships, causal relationships, authors, institution relationships, as well as the publication influence relationships and more. So again, the bottom left box show you the tools that are available in this category. Now, just a stark contrast between this one and the previous one, you may notice that the previous one has got more tools available. That is true. I mean, although I cannot count exactly, but I can say that the second category, which is this group here, there are less tools in this area than the tools in the first group. Okay. The third area is exploration of research topics and design. As I said, that's most pivotal to the research process, right? That is the the CPU of the research process, right? Identify what exactly you want to tackle, the research question, and whether that is a worthwhile question to tackle. Any other people have tackled it, right? Should you refine it a bit more? And what would be the hypothesis to test? Okay, and how do you go about testing it? What's using what methodology, and potentially, where would be a good source to focus on obtaining data. So all these, these tools can help you partially or entirely in these areas. Okay, so it's typically through a iterative approach, whereby you may ask it to suggest some research questions in a particular area, linking certain concepts together, and then the tool may start to look at some existing work that is already covering that area. It will report to you and show to you how extensive that area has been studied. It will also highlight to you some areas that appears to be underaddressed, that trigger you to think that maybe I can adapt the research question a little bit. Maybe I can make it more specific. For example, what's the impact of infrastructure on manufacturing? All right, well, that's very well studied. For example, in America, in Europe, in Asia, in China especially, right? But in Africa, it's not sufficiently studied. So perhaps if you can refine that question into the African context, then it's worthwhile to tackle. And then before you decide that, you can ask the tool to look at, are there any papers that fall into this particular area, but studying and collecting data in the African continent? Okay, then you can ask that, and the tools will tell you, right, whether based on the hundreds of millions of articles you have searched, whether there is sufficient to articles already published in that area. So through that kind of dialogue and in an iterative process, you're beginning to explore and be able to converge to the very area that you want to focus on research on. And I should say that it's exciting, and it's also confidence boosting, because once you find an area that that the tool has informed you that it is underexplored, and you have verified that, right? Then it's an exciting area, because that's a niche that you can start to consider seriously whether you would be tackling and investing your research time in that direction, in that project, and over the next few years, I suppose. Okay. Excuse me. So these are, again, the tools that are very well noted in this particular category, in the third category. And again, in terms of the quantity, they are also, a treasure field compared to the other two categories. So you can see that depending on what research starts, certain tools they specialize in those areas, and the spread of the tools, or the number of the tools, is not even. Certain tools, certain areas, many tools can do it very well, but in certain areas, only a few tools are available. Right. The fourth area is on data analysis. As I said, assuming that now you have got your research directions, conceptual models already defined, you're well on the way. You started collecting data, and you now have a lot of Excel files, Access databases, and you would like to combine them. You would like to, study them. You would like to generate insights from them, trends and patterns. You may even want to do predictions with them, and maybe you want to correlate what you have found with what's in the literature, right? Currently and in the past, right? So you can then highlight the compare and contrast and so forth, all the rest of it. So, it's clearly more data oriented, very structured analysis, and there's also tools available in this area. And I should say that some of these tools actually came from the original research tools area, like the statistical databases, statistical library tools, and so forth. But there are also other newcomers which just incorporate AI capabilities, and I'll be showing you one that is called Julius later. Okay. All right, the fifth area, the final area, it's as I said, light at the end of the tunnel. You are heading happily sitting down next to your research summary, your results, your findings, your observations, and you are writing prolifically about what you want to share and how you summarize what you have done, your brilliant work, to the rest of the world. So in this area, AI tools can help you to summarize the research, even writing part or all of your manuscript for submission, add the relevant references in the specified format, ensure that you're writing in the right tone, scientific tone. Writing a paper in a scientific journal is very different from writing a paper in an educational or social sciences journal, put it this way, right? So it helps you with all that. It helps you to check every one of your references. It's clean. It's not been retracted, and it's no error or random in there according to the publisher. You can check every one of that for you, in a systematic process. And you can also generate PowerPoint presentations if you wanted to, especially if you are doing a conference presentation. You can also generate a video, a talking video with avatars, summarizing what your papers have actually, discussed about. So there are a lot of tools in this area, and so by contrast, you can see that that this category has probably the most number of tools. This category and the first one definitely are the top two, the most the popular areas that AI tools are contributing in a big way. Okay. Now, don't forget, remember I said that there are two critical questions that we still have to clear. I'll clear the first one, which is, there's merit in using the library tools, merit in using the AI tools, because they actually go into linking, and displaying, and also reasoning with the articles, the content of the articles, which library tools would never do. But the second question, which I want to address here is, ChatGPT and other AI tools, they have hallucinations. Are we kidding? If we are using tools that are hallucinations, that we can't be serious at research. Is that right? Because research is a very rigorous process. There's no margin for error. There's no margin for tolerating inexactness. That is correct. That is correct. So, if you flash back to the tools that I showed you in the first phase, right to the fifth phase, right, very, very few of those tools are the generic AI tools. In fact, I don't recommend using ChatGPT to do research, right? There are specially prepared AI tools that support research. So you look at this infograph, although it's not the latest, but I think the spread is still very much true, and that is, the most popular tools are, in this case, Gemini, Google Gemini, POE, and what else? Perplexity, Claude, and so forth. Perplexity has added research elements, so in exchange since this diagram was published, and now, and you look at the bottom right, the end, you can see that the much less popular tools, but still, more than 9 million, 10 million users, they are not the general AI tools. So in other words, it is true that we are, in most cases, we are not using the generic generated AI tools to support research. We are using research oriented or research dedicated tools to support the research process, right? So there are tools, there are general AI tools, which has hallucinations, but there are also AI tools that are specifically developed and fine-tuned for research, which has less hallucinations, but they may have other things that you need to find out as well. For example, they may carry the inexact reasoning, which, as I said earlier, they may assume some input that you have overlooked it to be something which you may or may not agree, right? So in other words, they carry out a risk, but they may not have as much hallucination, or they may even no hallucination compared to generated AI tools because they're in a different breed, right? So in general, I think it's safer to use AI tools that are non-generative AI, to tackle research, especially for those that are actually specifically designed and tuned to support research. Okay, so here are the the 5 categories again. So given that we got some time, so maybe I can sporadically demonstrate some of those. Okay, so let's go in document summarization. Right, so these tools, as the name suggests, is to summarize documents that you upload to them, and then you can summarize single documents, you can summarize multiple documents, and you can also engage with the user, a dialogue or conversations. The user can ask, does this document mention about this methodology, or how many subjects were involved in this exercise, in this experiment, and so forth. You can actually query, what's mentioned or not mentioned in the paper. So I actually I combined the demonstration with the test myself, and this is again, it's a wake up call for all of us about whether these tools are trustworthy or not. Okay, so the experiment that I've designed, as well as in the demonstration, is I want to know if this summarization is indeed accurate and comprehensive enough. So if you have to do such a test, what would you do? What would be a good test to ascertain if indeed summary is comprehensive and accurate? Well, easy. I go back to the author of the article, right? I go back to the author of the article. So I found the authors, and I asked them to use two tools. One is the Chat PDF, which is the derivative of ChatGPT by processing PDF files, and the second one is Paper Digest, which is supposed to be a research-oriented research summary tool. Okay, so I asked the 5 authors that I've invited to each give me a paper, their paper, and then I asked them to read the summary that I generated for each of the papers by, firstly, Chat PDF, and secondly, Paper Digest. So here's the paper. Here's one of the papers. And let me see. So maybe I'll start with this one with my former student. So crowdsourcing, systematic review of the literature using text mining. So my student said that, for Chat PDF, this is her comment. It's a phrased synthesis. AI conclusion is correct in a general context, but in academic context, it sounds too oversimplified, right? Crowdsourcing doesn't apply to that particular sentence, so it's wrong, right? Overall speaking, this is oversimplification. It does not contain all the aspects mentioned. In other words, it's incomplete. Overall conclusion misses some of the objectives, such as crowdsourcing, impact on organizational performance. Okay. So this is her analysis of the summary of the Chat PDF. What about the other two? Okay, the other two is Paper Digest. She said the summary is correct. Writing style is decently academic, but it's too short and lacks depth. But still, some of the topics are inappropriate or even wrong. So overall summary of the Paper Digest is still very short. The summary links should be more elaborate. Summary structure is decent. Follow paper structure. The structure is better than Chat PDF, right? Writing style is also better, right? The conclusion on different themes of the summary are out of the topic. The summary is inadequate as many significant aspects are ignored. So in other words, there you go. Just from this one, that the summary is not a full summary, right? Let's have a look at the second one. This is another one by one of my colleagues in the health informatics area. Again, I asked her for giving me one of her papers and then read the 2 summaries. Okay, so for Chat PDF, she said the summary is cannot accurate or balanced. It's not accurate or balanced, right? Random information of the study was left out, so similar to the first one, right? Summary does not extract relevant information. Summary is only a partial representation. Same. Okay. What about paper digest? The background information is reasonable to give an idea what the study was. However, not all information is relevant. Okay. There is no information about the method. The main findings are summarized in a concise and accurate manner. So, okay, slightly better. Can someone help me to mute all the participants, please? So again, the paper digest appear to be slightly better. Okay. In fact, I don't need to show you the other three, because the words being expressed by the 5 different authors are very similar, and I can tell you that they do not they have not compared notes among them, right? So they are each carrying out the assessment independently. Yet their response is so conforming that both tools have not summarized everything. Both tools have summarized something wrong. Okay, and apart from that, the summary is too short. However, the paper digest tool, which is the tool that's dedicated for research summary, right, as opposed to generative AI general tools, does a slightly better job in terms of the style and the format and the flow of the document. Okay, so there you go. That's a short, concise assessment about the effectiveness and the performance of two AI tools to support document summaries. Now, you may say that, well, in that case, we should not use them at all. Well, depends. If you are, as I said, handling 500 papers, where you can only spend time reading 50 of them, right? Then you might want to use this tool to do the first layer of streaming, right? And then you decide which are the 50 that you want to focus on. But if you are only starting with 50, then I would say that you have to read every one of them with your human eyes, right? Because relying on these tools to do a accurate and complete summary, we are not there yet, right? The tools are not there yet. Not today. They are inadequate. They have shortfalls, and they don't summarize everything. Okay, so be careful. Search categories, and there's a slight difference between search and discover, right? Search is with a keyword. We give it to the search engine and we press enter. We expect to be shown a set of results, okay, that contains papers, that contains the words that we typed in. But discover is different. Discover starts with a seed, SEED. Seed is like a document. You may provide the search engine with a folder which contains a set of papers that you believe is very, very central to what you are researching on, right? So this is hard to my research, right? From this paper, find out others that are highly related to this paper, okay? So that is discover. So in this category, some tools can help you to discover, right? And then discover, again, benefited by the AI tools. Because why? Because the AI tools actually try to link, try to reason, try to display or visualize the retrieve the information in an expressive format for you, whereas the typical library tools can only search based on keywords. Well, maybe Research Rabbit is a quick demonstration, good for a quick demonstration. Well, firstly, it's easy to use, and secondly, it's free. It's free forever, so you can use it. You can use it as long as you need it. Okay, so and many universities' library actually have Research Rabbit on their website as well, right? So it's a tool that actually go just like a search engine. So you can type in, I want to search for knowledge management systems. There's a seminar paper by Alami. It's knowledge management and knowledge management systems. So go and do the search. Find it. Okay. So you can see that you start to organize columns and columns. All right. I start from the left hand side. So I found the paper. I click on the paper. It gives me a column, and then the next column show me. You can see about the linkages to this paper. The other papers by this author, chronological order, and what are other papers influenced by this particular paper, and so forth. So I can navigate from column to column, and I can see this, the exploding mind map, which the bigger the bubble means that there are more papers collected in that area. So I can also see when I zoom out that when this paper published in 1999, it spawned a lot of research in the next 5 years or so forth, right? And after that, the trend has died off. And I can continue to click on anything that I like, and it will position that as a central starting node and reorient additional information around it. And it's great that you can backtrack. Backtrack means that you can collapse several columns and go back right to the left, start and pick another seed document and start again. So I find this very useful as a tool, Research Rabbit, and it has almost the same access as online library, as much as what your university library provides, and sometimes even more. Okay, so third category, exploration of research topics and design. As I emphasized several times, this is a very important set of tools that help you to refine your research questions. So let's try with elicit, which is very strong in the area of natural sciences. Okay, so I ask a research question. So let's say I was wondering about does trust affect knowledge sharing? Of course it does, right? But here we go. Okay, go and find out for me. Does trust affect knowledge sharing in an organization? So, right, it pulls up the number of major papers, right? And look at the filters out there. Up there, I can filter it based on whether it's got a PDF, by which author, by which journal, and I can also identify the methods in which the methodology in which that paper is using. So if you are keen on looking for methodology as an originality, as an original idea, this is a very good tool, because this tool, look at the filters here, right? It's help you to filter year by year. And this is what I'm talking about, the study time. Okay, it's a study based on the RCT, based on review, systematic review, meta-analysis, or longitudinal study, right? So you can study the same question, the same research question, but using a different method. Maybe you can get different results, okay? But still, okay, it's still considered to be original, because it's the originality is in the methodology, right? So I find that this is the only tool that actually, have a drop-down list to filter a lot among the methodology, right? There are also, for example, on the left-hand side, you can see that it also allows you to look at outcomes measure, number of participants, where the data is being drawn from. So, the very good analysis and filtering on how the experiments were being carried out. So that is elicit, okay? Because of time, I don't have the time to discuss about other tools as well, but you are free to explore others. Go to our data analysis area. I want to show you a tool called Julius, right? So, this is, the stage where you have collected data and you would like to, to build an understanding about the trends and patterns embedded in all this data. And you can query the database for anything special. And you can also ask the database or the tool to identify any insights, right, inside the database, as well as compare different data sets, and even compare your data set with newly published paper, with newly published data in a new paper. Okay. So what I'm going to show you, it's a brief dialogue of how I actually drive Julius to analyze data sets for me. Okay, so the tool is it's very easy to use, and you can almost talk to it. You can certainly use natural language, just like typing to it, and you don't need to know any format. You don't need to write any programs. Okay, so we're going to go through these stages. Upload the data, ask the software to do some data cleaning, right? We ask the software to visually display and provide a descriptive summary of the data, display the data in multiple formats, auto-generate insights and user query, the data set, and the system response, okay? We ask the system to compare different data sets of the same format. And most excitingly, the number 7, we ask the system to identify and articulate existing information in the data set with additional sources of information. The other we use is the Hong Kong flu dataset, which is available from the Hong Kong government for public download. And you can also get it. And this dataset has got 31 fields, nearly 600 records covering the data about flu data. Unfortunately, for people who have infected flu from 2014 to 2025. Okay, so this is what we're going to do in demonstration. Okay, right. So as I said, that this tool is very easy to use. It has a natural language interface, so you can almost just put all these instructions through, and the system will do it for you. So let's say the first one. This is a tool called Julius. You can go and look it up. It's already, store a set of default workflows or routines for you. So you can use routines that are shared by other people, like analyze this data set using which particular method and so forth, right? So you can use them if you like, or you can create your own routines. So our first task is upload the data, which is not exciting, so I need to demonstrate it. Data cleansing. Okay, so clean the data. So let's see what we can do with the software. So I've uploaded the data, and I asked the system to clean the data by using one of the standard routines that are available. Okay, so I don't need to to write any code. I just pick the routine, standard routine, review my data, and suggest any areas that it may be erroneous or something unusual. Okay. So it's doing that now. Okay, so it highlights the different fields and cells that it looks suspicious, right? Suspicious could be it has got the wrong data value, right? Or it has got a missing value or something that's non-compliant, okay? So it's up to the user to decide what you want to do. So you can leave it intact, just leave it like that and continue the analysis, or you can ask it, like what I've done, ask it to cancel a particular column and then merge which column with another column, okay? And produce the new data set to proceed onwards. The next stage is to generate a descriptive summary, right? I'm lazy. I want to system to tell me, looking at this set of data, summarize for me about the data. What does it describe? Any high points, any low points? It's typical of these tools. It's thinking aloud. So in other words, before it generates the final answer, it always show you what is analyzing, what is studying. So you can see, flashes and updates of the screen. Okay, so it's generated some basic charts to show about the results that's embedded in the in this data set. And I think I've asked it to generate a descriptive summary as well. Okay, let's go with the insights and query the database with specific questions. So in other words, generate the insights for me, anything interesting, and also answer questions that I may pose to you. So I'll give you insights of the data set by age group. There you go. It's done that, and it's also used a color-coded table to show me the various areas of interest or intensities. So it also summarized that elderly people are more vulnerable to flu and COVID attacks, and the problems seem to be more serious once hospitalized. So it provides further observations as well based on what I directed it to do, and it's correct. Okay, I'll skip this one. And multiple data sets also I can skip it. It's imagine you have the quarter one data, all right, and you now have the second quarter data. You can ask it to compare the two data sets, right, and see what are the differences and comments across the two data sets. So you can do that. But as I said, the most interesting one that I want to show you is number 7, which is to try to articulate what you have with the data set that you have with some external data. So again, this case, remember our current data is the Hong Kong flu data set, and let's say a new paper has been published in Denmark about flu data for Danish citizens. Okay, and this paper is in a PDF. Let's see if I can open it. Yes, I can open it. I'm not sure you can see it, but anyway, I'll come back to the PowerPoint here. You assume that the paper has got tables and tables of flu data, right? But it's all embedded inside the PDF. Okay, so you don't need to extract them. You don't need to, tell the software about which table to look at and so forth. It automatically detect and extract the data for you. So the next thing that I wanted to do is sorry. Yes. So now I ask it to articulate what my original data set with what's already covered in this PDF. So you start to analyze the information on the PDF, not only the table, but the actual paper itself, right? And then correlate with what I have in my data set. And then it reminds me that, hey, the Denmark is using a different unit, different system. They're using a different data collection and period from Hong Kong, okay? So I need to be aware of that. So given those differences, you start to plot to me about the big differences between the Hong Kong data set and the Danish data set. Right, so you can see that it continues to show me the severe cases, key differences, limitations, and more. Right, and as you see the last sentence there, would you like me to analyze those? So in other words, I can engage in an interactive dialogue to ask the system based on the data set and the paper. I'm not confined to reading what the system has generated for me. Wow, I think that's very exciting. And final category is writing up, publishing, and presenting. And there are many tools in this area as well, covering different stages of research. And let me see, maybe I can use generative AI, Jenny.ai. Jenny.ai is a tool that can help you to write a paragraph or even the whole paper, right? And it takes care of the referencing for you, okay? So these are the major settings in Jenny.ai, right? You can also ask it to auto-complete a sentence. You can ask it to generate recommendations. You can ask it to conform to different referencing style, the major referencing style, the American APA, and also the IEEE, as well as the Harvard referencing systems and more. Okay, You can ask it to take references only from a library, the library that you set up. So, for example, if you have done your research, you have collected 50 papers, okay? So when you ask Jenny to include the references, only include the references in your library, which contains that 50 papers, no others, right? You can confine them, okay? So that's a big help because you want to only include the papers that you have read, that you have authorized, and you have included. And on the right-hand side, you can see the another box, which shows Jenny's capabilities to allow you to further refine the text, improve the fluency, paraphrase it again, simplify it, makes it longer, or translate into a different language, or just summarize. So I have, this is something that I've used Jenny.ai to help me. This is a document that I'm supposed to write. So I didn't ask Jenny to write the table of contents. I dictate table of content. Okay. So this is what I have decided. Okay, generate this document for me based on a PowerPoint. In papers. I've looked for papers. I've downloaded them. I have developed my own PowerPoint on these topics. So I put all that into the library, and I want Jenny to extract all that information from my library to populate into different sections of this document. And it did that. It did that beautifully, as you can see here. So that was the table of content that I have. And on the right hand side, you can see the switches that I've shown you before, right? Just scroll down and show you a bit more. Right, it's populated with the references that I've asked it to, taken from my own library. And of course, it's not fully automated. From here, I export it into a Word document, and I continue to write and take it to the finishing line. So I never trust the tool to do everything for me. I remain very much in control, put it this way. But you can still appreciate that. That's a big help. That's a big help by extracting what I have collected and put into a library, including my PowerPoint presentation file, and then extract all that relevant information and populate that into the relevant section of a report that I need to generate. That's a big help. Okay, so time is slipping away. Let me use a few more minutes just to wrap up and take questions. Okay, maybe this one. Frequently asked questions. Well, given that these tools are not entirely reliable and they still need to be checked, so what would be my advice to use them? Well, my advice is to separate these tools into different risk categories. There are some risks that we can live with. There are some risks that we need to be more careful, and we must step up our checking. Right? For example, at the lowest one, you can see that for those that handle citation management, generating references, formatting the references into a particular style, we can get a student to check that, right? So use it, and once you have verified a few times the tool is working correctly, then you can let go and trust it to use far more often. The second level from the bottom, medium low, getting summary analysis. Again, there are incompleteness in the summary, as we have seen, right? So that's why I advise you to not to summarize everything, and use the summary at a high level to filter from, for example, 500 to 50 rather than from 50 to 20, right? At the medium level, generating of insights, document summary, again, the same advice as the previous one. At the medium high one, search and discovery, right? You still use them to search, but you also follow up to validate the search to make sure that what it actually found is indeed is there. But also take advice about what is generated, but you are not aware of, because those, I think, sparks creativity, because it enables you to think, hey, how come I never came across this paper before? right? Yet it is relevant, right? Especially with the discovery mechanism. Remember, discovering a paper is you don't need to use search keywords. You submit a paper, right? So maybe, out of the blue, there's another paper or another set of papers which has a very similar, the style and way of approach as what you're doing, but it never used the keywords that you use. That's why you never found it, right? Okay. So at the highest level, which is currently, the peak of the AI tools right now, is everyone is into deep research, and I think we need to be very careful here. Deep research by the AI tools is not the same as deep research in academia, right? To me, deep research is very much still a elaborated search. So these tools still have no brains. So we need to be very careful when you say that it applies certain types of reasoning. So treat with care with whenever you use the tool with deep research. Let me see. Okay, maybe I can finish with this one. As a researcher, ultimately, we have to publish. So this is a snapshot about pretty much the latest. And I have my own research, but I like this one as well that I clipped from LinkedIn. For most publishers, these are the three, levels of treatments regarding the use of AI tools in research. Green for allowed, yellow for restricted, and red for forbidden, right? So writing assistance, improving the use of English, paraphrasing, that's fine. So Genio.ai, pass the mark there, okay? Restricted, data analysis and interpretation. And the journals are asking you to declare the use of these tools and how you have used it and in your analysis, okay? Forbidden, many journals do not allow you to use AI tools for generating hypotheses, okay? It has to be your own work, okay? Also forbidden is the peer review process because, nobody can attribute responsibility to an AI software. So it has to be conducted by human eyes. Restricted literature review assistance, right? You can use AI tools in a limited capacity, assuming that you know the limitations, you know what you're doing, and you have checked and you have declared it. Okay. Restricted. This one I'm disputing a bit because from what I've read, bottom right there on restricted, no journals that I've so far, read about their policy. No journal permitted the use of AI generated images unless generation of images is part of the research, right? So I'm very skeptical about this one. I would put a red forbidden for that, but respecting this author, he has labeled it as restricted. Okay, so that's the last one. Okay, so I've spoken for quite a while, so maybe there are some questions or clarifications that I should make. So this is the time to ask, I suppose. I'll pass it back to the MC. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much to Dr. Professor Tsui. This time we'll open up the doors to ask questions, and I would advise everyone to go to the chat and ask questions. Already there's some questions, Professor Eric. You can find them in the comment section and answer them.
Okay. All right, so first one, can AI replace certain research tasks? And I think my seminar has more or less addressed that. It's a mixed bag, right? But treat with caution, right? What are the most tangible benefits you have been while integrating AI tools into the research process? Exploration of ideas, especially about looking for areas that are underaddressed, and I think that's very fruitful. Generation of part of a paper, part of a report, and part of a presentation, and I have gained very much from that. Can we really trust AI to understand the human and contextual complexity behind on the research topic? I don't think so, because at the moment, the general AI tools using large language models, there's no reasoning capabilities. The fact that they can generate results or response that are seemingly rational is because they have read or processed billions and billions of sentences. So they know what are the characters and what are the next word that you can put into the sentence. And through numerous combinations, they can generate a sentence appears to be rational. So there's no reasoning behind it. So that may change, but I don't think it will change in too short a window, put it this way. Okay. The next one is as researchers start relying more on the tools that handle large parts of their work, what practical advice would you give to them to keep the critical thinking sharp and actively develop it instead of diminishing? Very good question, very challenging question as well, right? As I said earlier, know the strengths and weaknesses of the tools. Know the inherent characteristics of the research of the algorithm that the tools were based on. Okay, use triangulation. Let's use sometimes use a different tool, sometimes use a different method to try to generate or verify the result that a tool has given you. All right, talk to your peers because our effort is limited. The use of AI tools should never replace human-to-human interactions, right? Our peers may have other thoughts about it. Our peers may have good ideas in verifying it. Our peers may have used it before, okay? And ultimately, I would encourage everyone to steer towards a work style or an attitude that we are working cooperatively with a tool to get the best out of the integrated outcome. So in other words, it's not a matter of I'm better than the tool, or the tool is better than me, or I should copy the tools, or I should query about the tools. It's about how to work best to amplify what the tool can give you together with the human effort to get the best result forward. Put it this way, right? And that I think would take care of a lot of the rest of the worries. Okay, and if you are subscribing to that vision and operationalizing, you are definitely applying critical thinking, right? And the last one here, if AI become better than humans at synthesizing information, what is left for us? Well, synthesizing is one thing, to position it to apply, and learning from the actual experience are something, especially learning from the actual operational experience, are something that no AI can replace, right? For example, I'll give you an example of how we actually text our students, in the AI days. Asking a student to write an essay, it's very simple in the AI days. But asking a student to write an essay about what we have discussed in class and what we have discussed in class and what are the theories. Okay, and that would be a difficult task for AI tools because AI tools will never be able to know what we're discussing in class. Asking a student to reflect about what he or she has learned as a result of using AI tools for this particular assignment. Okay, it's also a difficult task because AI has no brain, so it cannot generate a personal reflection. What is a personal reflection? It has got no brain. So even if you can generate a mechanistic reflection as a teacher, you'll be able to read it instantly because it's too mechanical, right? So therefore, our beauty is we have mood, we have feelings, we have humility, right? Which machines and algorithms cannot replicate. Put it this way. Yes, of course, I'll send it to the organizer. I'll send a PDF to the organizer. Okay. There's also a copy. If you look at my LinkedIn profile, there's also a recorded version, an earlier version that you can replay as well. Okay, looks like that we have exhausted all the questions.
All right. And with that, we've reached the end of our seminar. A huge thank you once again to Professor Eric Tsui for an absolutely fascinating and insightful presentation on AI tools and supporting research. I would like to give a thank you.
Thank you. Enjoy it very much and see you next time in 2 weeks' time.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.